Microsoft did what? Okay, so I'm gonna try not to be a fanboy here because I am a huge PlayStation fan. I've been playing PlayStation since the PS1. I have tried the Xbox, but there has never been any major game that has attracted me to the Microsoft Xbox console. But this is going to shake up the gaming industry in the future, because Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard, it's huge news. It's huge news. I mean, they're literally buying this company for $68.7 billion. That's a crazy amount of money. I think that's one of the biggest acquisitions ever, at least for the gaming industry, and it's ridiculous because now you can see possibly, depending on how Microsoft decides to handle this, that some of these games may only come to their consoles, or just to PC only, or to Game Pass, you know? And it's one of those things where we have to ask ourselves, is that something that Microsoft might do? I personally don't think that they will do that. At least I don't think that they should do that, because they would be cutting out, you know, money that would be revenue stream, right? A revenue stream that could come their way by them keeping these games exclusively to their consoles. But that is something that they could do, because I believe StarCraft is going to be one of those games that's only exclusive on Xbox. But I'm not 100% sure, so let me know in the comments below. But either way, right, you have, you know, gaming companies that have been out there for years, and these publishers that have been out there for years that have released games on every single console out there. Now Microsoft owns them. And Call of Duty is a huge game, a huge gaming franchise. I think they win Game of the Year almost every single year, you know, and it brings in a lot of money. Now, do I think that they're gonna release, take Warzone out, you know, from all the consoles? I don't think so. And if I'm not mistaken, and I'm gonna go here real quick, Phil Spencer said to Bloomberg, "I'll just say to players out there who are playing Activision Blizzard games on Sony platform, it is not our intent to pull communities away from that platform, and we remained committed to that." So with that being said, is that something that, you know, that Microsoft will do? Just kind of be committed to releasing these games on all platforms regardless, right? I think it would be a dumb move for Microsoft to not release these games on all the platforms. It would be, you know, they would be losing a money revenue that they could come in, especially with with this acquisition of them spending almost $70 billion. They're gonna have to come up with a revenue stream to recoup that money quick. With Call of Duty now going to Microsoft, that means that they could possibly hold that franchise exclusively to their platform, even if it's for a limited time, right? They could hold it exclusively to their platform, or they could go the route of, you know, holding on to the storylines only for their platforms and then releasing multiplayers for all platforms, you know. And I think this is a smart move on Microsoft's part by acquiring Activision Blizzard, because now they hold a lot of games under their belt that nobody would have thought would only possibly be exclusive only to them. And the future of Microsoft is Game Pass. That's their future. I don't think selling consoles is as profitable as people think. At least I don't think selling consoles is profitable as people make it out to be, because most of these companies lose money on consoles for the first few years anyways, and they recoup their money back on game sales. So with Game Pass, that's a constant monthly revenue stream, right? That's constantly coming in. And now with them acquiring this company, you know, with them acquiring Activision Blizzard, that's going to be a huge impact for the gaming industry. And now I'm thinking, well, how is Sony going to react to this? What are they going to do? What can they do? You know, because Sony, while it's a great company, at least the PlayStation division is a great company. They make profits almost every year. I think they're losing money on the PlayStation 5s, but still they're recouping their money on game sales. How are they going to answer? Because Sony, yes, while they have great first party games like God of War and now Horizon, you know, they have to come back with this somehow or another. And I don't think Sony has the revenue stream that Microsoft has in order to acquire such a huge gaming publisher. I just don't think they do. I mean, some people are speculating that maybe EA might be thrown up in the works in there somehow, and that might be what Sony will go for. What do you guys think? Do you want to see EA games possibly exclusively to the PlayStation 5? I personally wouldn't, because like I said, Microsoft would be stupid to hold these franchises to just for themselves, because it's a loss of money. And if Sony was to acquire a company like EA, that would be a loss of money if they don't release some of these games on other consoles as well. And with the supposedly Project Spartacus coming around the corner, well, you know what? That's Sony's answer to Game Pass, or the rumored answer to Microsoft's Game Pass, which means that they will start having a constant revenue stream, which would give them the access that they need in order to be able to make purchases of other companies, of other publishers, big publishers, right? And you know what? Now that I think about it, did Sony just lose their first mascot that they had for the PlayStation 5? Is that what happened here? Or for the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 1? Did we just lose Crash Bandicoot? Anyway, but if I were Sony, if I was part of the PlayStation, if I was making decisions for PlayStation right now, I would be shaking in my boots and saying, what can I get now? I know they've been acquiring small studios, but what major studio should they go after? I think EA is a good studio to go after, right? Sony can turn that around. I know EA doesn't have the best history when it comes to players, but I think Sony can make that into something better, right? And I'm not gonna talk about Battlefield 2042 here, because I'm a Battlefield fan. I play that more than I do anything else. So I'm not gonna say anything bad here about it, despite some of my personal opinions. But if I were Sony, I would be looking at Konami. I mean, let's be 100% honest here. And I know some of these games have came out on other platforms, right? So I can't dismiss that. But when I think of certain games from PlayStation, like Metal Gear, and I know that came out originally on the Nintendo, but when I think of Metal Gear Solid, I think PlayStation. I don't think Xbox. I don't think Nintendo. I don't think a lot of people, think of Metal Gear on other systems. I think they, think of PlayStation when they hear that name. So this would be a great company for them to acquire, since, hey, again, a lot of the games that came out from Konami are synonymous with the PlayStation brand. They have Castlevania, a huge franchise, again, that they would have control over, which would bring in a good revenue for them. I would also be looking at Capcom. I mean, when you look at Capcom, they have Street Fighter, they have Devil May Cry, Mega Man, they have the Resident Evil series. And these are just a few of the games that, again, when I think of, right, maybe not too much Mega Man, but definitely Resident Evil, and Devil May Cry, when I think of these franchises, I'm thinking that they are synonymous with the PlayStation 5. I think that these are games that belong on the PlayStation brand and nowhere else, because that's how I've always seen them. That's how I've always known them. That's how the majority of people that have experienced these games started experiencing them, through the PlayStation family, right? So I think these two companies would be very well suited for Sony to try to see if they could acquire them somehow. Also, there's Square Enix. Square Enix has the Kingdom Hearts games. I played these on the PlayStation 2 when they first came out. And then we have Final Fantasy. I think when I think of Final Fantasy 7, 8, and these older, the later Final Fantasy games, I think of PlayStation. I don't think of any of these other systems. And that's not to say that I didn't play the Xbox, because I did. When the Xbox first came out, I played the Xbox. And I've played every single Xbox console that's came out. But it just never spoke to me. I couldn't get their controllers, right? I couldn't actually, for some reason, it was weird for me holding that controller. Not only was it weird for me holding that controller, they just never had any major game franchises that said, hey, I need to buy me an Xbox in order to play it. And then the ones that did come out, like Gears of War when it first came out, one of my buddies always had an Xbox, and then after that I didn't see any other reason to buy an Xbox, so I just never got it. But either way, right, Sony has the answer. Sony, I think, needs to come back with something. They don't have to respond right away, and like I said, Project Spartacus is a thing that may be happening and possibly in the next couple of months, and we'll wait to see. And that'll bring a good amount of money for Sony to be able to say, hey, we can actually acquire, or at least for the PlayStation division of Sony, to say, hey, we can actually acquire some of these bigger name brands, or at least work out some sort of deal. I don't think $70 billion, would be one of those deals, but it could be. It could be. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you think that this is a good move for Microsoft, and not to mention, not to mention that Microsoft is a forward-thinking company, right? So I'm gonna give them props here. This sets them up really well for the metaverse. This really does. It sets them up for the metaverse. And with Sony actually having, with PlayStation actually having a VR headset, I think they need to start thinking that, because I will admit, Sony's a little lagging behind when it comes to, right, future thinking, when it comes to future development. Even though they do have the PSVR 2 that they've announced, right? Are they thinking about the metaverse and how this is going to move on into the future? Or are they even thinking about digital transactions and digital currency and how that's going to translate into the future? And I think with Project Spartacus, they're starting to think about that now, but they need to get ahead of the curve. They do. They need to get ahead of the curve and start thinking more 5, 10, 15 years down the line versus, hey, we need to catch up, which is what they're doing now. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also hit the like button. And as always, stay inadequate.